Hello, everybody. Karen here from Quantum Healing with Tina and Karen, and I'm here today with Tina.
Hello.
So, coming on a call to talk about I can't be hypnotized. We get that a lot, more often than not. For a lot of people that are really interested in having hypnosis sessions because, there's a lot of content online, and so it piques people's interest, upon their discovery or self-discovery. I guess they're out there self-discovery. So when they do go for session, they try it out with a practitioner. They're very disappointed because it's not all that they think it is. So we're coming on call to talk about this topic. Tina and I have had quite many sessions, and we have been, I would say, 100% successful. I mean, I don't want to toot our horn, but we have methods to help people get there. We remove their misconceptions, we remove any type of expectation. And
Entities.
yes, entities for one. And we have a methodology of what we've figured out to be some like our way of getting you to a successful session. So we will talk about that today. Welcome, Tina. Beautiful. Really lovely to have you here today.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
You're so funny. Okay, so first of all, I want to throw the word hypnosis completely out the window.
With the baby in the bathwater.
All of it.
That
Just
we're throwing out. Yeah.
gone. Like forget it altogether. Like just forget you ever heard that word because there's so many myths and misconceptions around what we do. Karen and I have altered our practice so much that we really don't work in the same way that the typical QHHT or BQH practitioners would work. And I know, there's a lot of other practitioners out there. I'm not saying like we're the best or anything like that. It's just that we've worked with a lot of really difficult cases, people that are targeted, people that have a lot of trauma, people that have a lot of entity involvement. So we've been able to kind of tweak our practice in a way that we've learned how to work with that and how to get people to where they need to go. So throwing hypnosis out the window, all this state of being is a relaxed state of being where your body is completely still and relaxed and your mind is hyper focused. And in that hyper focused state of awareness, it's really just about learning how to trust yourself. That's it. That's literally what it comes down to. And the more you feel safe within that space, the easier it's going to be for you to open up and to trust not only us, but yourself. So when you watch sessions online, like it's completely different from being in that space.
100%.
Completely different. Like you watch it online, there's a lot of sessions posted online, like Alba Weinman sessions, Allison Coe's sessions. Those are the two big ones that people watch, but there's lots of other QHHT and BQH sessions that are posted online. And what you have to understand about that is practitioners post their very best sessions. They're not posting their sessions that, didn't go so well, or, somebody was having a difficult time connecting. So you're not getting a full picture of what the totality of the practice is like. You're only seeing the very best sessions where the clients usually have done a lot of work on themselves already. They've been in spiritual practice for many years and they get to have this session, and it's a really cool session because they're, channeling universal energies or whatever that is that's happening, that you're like, wow, I want to have a session like this. Right. But what you're also not seeing is you're not seeing into their mind and what kind of dialogue is happening within them as they're communicating this information. So there could be other voices that are there speaking while they're communicating this information that you're not hearing. You're not privy to that because it's inside of their own minds. Right. And
Mhm.
sometimes those voices can be saying things like, I don't know if you should say this. This sounds dumb. That's really weird. Um, it's kind of like a back and forth of like a fighting the
Mhm.
information.
Mhm.
When I had my first, because, when I first started seeing these sessions online, I was like, wow, that's really cool. I want to have one of these. It looks amazing. And it was, but it was hard the first time. And it was hard because one, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't
Mhm.
know what it was like to be in that space. And number two, I was not fully trusting of myself. I was not fully trusting the information that was coming forward and not understanding why that information was coming forward. So, the analytical mind kicks in and is questioning everything.
All
And
of it.
yeah, all of it. So for somebody that's really left-brained and logical and analytical, that can feel really conflicting. And if you would have heard my session or saw my session online, you wouldn't have seen or heard any of that.
Right.
You would have just heard the information that I was transmitting. And actually, my session's in a book that my practitioner wrote. Rising Phoenix Aurora's first book, Galactic History of the Universe. My session is the last session in there about the matrix pods. So when you read through that, you're not seeing any of the resistance that I had to that information. You're just seeing the pure information. But when you're in that state, there's a lot going on internally, usually. Like,
Yeah, imagine writing a book on that dialogue.
right.
All
Right.
my dialogue would be about what I want to eat. Uh,
You're
yeah.
just thinking about other things.
Yeah, I'm working and thinking like I'm able to multitask while it's happening.
Right. So when people come to us and say, like, I had a QHHT or I had multiple sessions and I didn't get anything from it, it didn't work. It didn't work.
Mhm.
Usually there's a lot to clean up first before you attempt to make that full connection with your divine self. If you haven't done any like previous cleanup work, meaning clearing your entities, meaning connecting with your inner children, doing the healing work, the inner child work to really soothe and get to know your inner child, then you go into a session like this and there can be a lot of blocks that come up because these dissociated parts of ourself will block the session because they want to be seen and heard. So what you're doing is you're skipping over them to get to the higher parts of yourself. So you're abandoning the lower parts. And because you've abandoned them, they're not going to let you get to the higher parts,
Great.
right?
Yep.
So this isn't something that we knew when we, signed up for this. This is something that we've had to learn over time and see happen in our practice that there are so many factors involved in, why someone might not be able to have the session that they want or to, yeah, for their session to look like like the ones online, because it's very rare that that actually happens.
Yeah. I am grateful that we're able to have that open communication with clients. I mean, as we were learning to get to this very like, okay, this is the approach we need to do. Because we've worked with people and they've told us like after the fact, like, oh yeah, my whole body was in fear. But we didn't know that. So we couldn't hold space or to help them go through it in a safe way or or at least to help them soothe themselves while they were experiencing it. So things like that is, we take that really like that information and be like, okay, we need to address that right away so that if people go into those spaces where they are fighting inside or they're in terror or whatever, that they express it. That way it's like, we just tell them, express everything. We want to hear everything that you're going through inside so that there's no secrets. There's no like needing to deal with it on your own. This is like a shared space where we're exploring together. It's not a one man journey, like we're three for a reason. So we want to be in there so we could validate what you're feeling so that, we could add extra protection if you need, look for things, protect the inner child that's coming out if you're dissociating or splitting at that point, at that moment. We have tools to go and figure out so that it's not scary or confusing or, because we want so badly to have a session that just sounds so amazing from A to Z. But then when you're in it, you're getting bits and pieces of puzzles and you're trying to figure it out by yourself to try to make sense of it. But again, that takes away from the experience because you're so busy analyzing the symbology, you're not allowing for the energy flow to naturally occur. And we always say, just say everything. We are there to put the pieces together. We will work on it together. Just throw us all the information and we'll be there. And because we've done so many sessions, we're pretty good at putting pieces together really quickly, I find.
Yeah.
Or it comes back around again, like it always lassos itself back again. So even if some piece comes up, we'll be like, all right, Tina writes it down. Maybe we'll get back to it again. Let's feel into it a little more. Or something will happen and it'll just tie the whole thing together. So we want people to just have patience. Again, don't get in the way of your session. Just let yourself say it. Go through it, feel it. She'll guide you. Tina's guiding you. I'm there behind you, getting information as well. So I find like working in threes is amazing because we have, yes, I'm the backup. You're there asking the right questions and knowing how to, I don't know, you just know what to do, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's a very safe environment. I can't say that enough. That's one thing that I gotta like really give it to us, like tooting the horn. We're safe. We're very safe. Like you could literally say anything and we're like, okay, cool. We want you to say everything. We want the weird stuff to come out because then we just need to, that might be the big piece, or that might be the block that needs to get out of the way, So it's a very safe, non-judgmental space. We welcome everything, all parts, all voices, all judgments, everything, like every single part of you to come to the table and join us in the exploration.
Yeah, exactly. We're not limiting it to you should only be connecting with your higher self.
No, you can't get there until you acknowledge all your friends.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because it's those parts that will block the connection. So we have to get through that. And, you mentioned the fear, the terror that that person was feeling. I remember that session. But even more so than anything like that, it's really like a subtle resistance that comes up within people. They're just like resisting what they're receiving. They're resisting what they're receiving because it doesn't make sense, or they just can't make sense out of this, and it just seems like a coincidence, or
Right.
it's just my imagination. And that's another thing. It's just my imagination. Um and I want to talk a minute about imagination because we have a really deep misconception about what is imagination and so when we think about imagination, we think, when we use our imagination, we're just making something up that, and it's not good to use your imagination because it's just your imagination. And
Right.
that's a program and that's inserted purposefully to keep you from that connection.
Yeah.
Because the last thing they want is for you to be using your imagination, because your imagination is the connection to the quantum field. The quantum field is within you and all around you, containing everything that is, was, will be. It contains everything, right? So when we use the imagination, we are accessing that field. That's how we access the quantum field, through using the imagination and making it up. But the thing about it is, you're not actually making it up because it already exists. So what you're actually doing is using the imagination to pull that information to you, to pull it to you or from within you. And when you understand that, you'll have less of a thing around making it up.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to bypass that program because it's really ingrained in people that it's not a, it's been shut down. Stop doing that. That's your imagination. It's all in your imagination. Like it's not real.
It's not real. It's just a dream or a daydream or yeah.
Yeah.
Or you just made it up. I mean, how many times have you heard that as a kid, you know? And it really sticks.
Yep.
It really sticks because the right side of the brain is not valued in our society. Our intuition, our creativity, our feminine aspect is not valued. So we're kind of tunneled and channeled into this more logical, analytical way of thinking, behaving, being, until we gain the awareness and start to come out of that and want to reconnect with that more spiritual part of ourselves. And in order to make that, see, that connection really never goes away. You could feel the most shut down and disconnected that you've ever felt in your life, but that connection is still there.
Mm-hmm.
It just needs to be built upon and trusted again, because you've been so beat down by the world that you no longer trust yourself.
Yep.
So it's in relearning how to trust yourself again. That's really what this work is about, because you have everything you need within you. You have everything you need within you. It's just about learning how to trust that and knowing that your divine self is speaking to you all the time. You just need to know how to decipher the messages.
Mm-hmm.
The messages are always coming to you, but because you don't understand the language of your divine self, you might not be understanding or getting the message. So
Yep.
when we go into session work, whether that's in like a quantum connect session, which is a really cool session for really beginning to understand this concept of how the divine self works to bring you information. Quantum Connect is a really fun exercise just to get those wheels spinning and understanding that you're always connected. It's just a matter of interpreting the messages. So that's one way. Then we have our quantum body scan sessions, which are deeper, more exploration sessions, but going in through the body. So when we go in through the body, we've never had a client that cannot connect.
Yep.
Because there's like a natural thing that happens when we allow the body to speak and go in that way. I think number one, it takes the pressure off of like needing to travel somewhere or like go to a past life or something like that. But there's something about going into the body that allows for that really deep connection to self. Don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I think those sessions online are like what create that pressure because it's like, again, everyone's aiming for this high bar of this magical experience when it doesn't even feel like it when you're in it at all. Sounds it when you're an outsider, but not doesn't feel like it when you're experiencing it. But yeah, I find our body scan sessions have been so profound and successful, at least at chipping away at the stuck energies that are preventing you from having a deep and profound experience with your highest parts. So, like Tina said earlier, because you have a lot of traumas and the inner children are present, your lower selves are going to be the ones there, which is why sometimes we've had sessions in which they were hijacked, like sessions were hijacked by lower parts that were creating like an extravagant like storyline only
BQH
to,
sessions.
yeah, BQH, only to kind of like express itself to get their
To be
voice out there,
seen.
to be
Yeah.
seen, to be heard. So that's why we have discovered that there's some people that really want to have a BQH session, and we're like, I don't think that's a good place to start for you. Well, we're very honest about that because, again, our goal is to have a successful session in which you are ready. If you have done healing work and there's steps. Have you had a remote spirit release session like where you've had energy work done to remove your entities? So we have like we always start with RSR, the remote spirit release, to clear up your energy field that we do on our own time or live with the client. And then after that, usually we have either what is it?
Connect,
Quantum
tap.
connect. Yeah. Consciousness tapping techniques, like to also do somatic healing and to help communicate with the body and to help soothe the nervous system. That's another process. So that wakes up a little bit more emotions that we're able to also chip off in smaller sessions, profound yet smaller sessions. And then we do body scan sessions too. So it's kind of like also incorporating the quantum connect and also going into a relaxed state so that you're hyper focused and aware to tune into your body. We just ask to just scan your body. So, I mean, like you can just go in and feel sensations like that may come up. And then after that, like after a couple of those, and a little mix and match of like what we just previously said with tapping and whatnot, then if you want to have a BQH, you can. Sometimes you don't necessarily have to have one. It's really like, but BQH too, it's like also a very profound, like a big chunk.
Mm-hmm.
But we want to make sure that you're ready to go into to make it a meaningful chunk.
Yeah. So it's like we've developed a process, it's a process of, yeah, of really clearing and relearning how to connect with the self. And
Yeah,
it's not what people think it is. Like,
it's so
you're
not.
not going to close your eyes and see a movie behind your eyelids or see an HD or anything like that. It's not like that at all. The energy is so much more subtle than you would think.
Right.
It's really about learning how to read subtle energy.
Yes. And you can't really read the subtle energy until you can clear out yourself and be able to discern better. So that's why we're teaching you how in a safe space, how to be more in tune, how to be in a relaxed state so that you can decipher what's happening and then be able to remove anything or heal things or feel things through in a safe way.
Right. So when you're getting information, from your divine self, from your subconscious, whatever you want to call it, it's more like being in a daydream, where,
Right.
or a dream. It's, even though some dreams can be like HD like, but it's more so like you might just have a word that pops up, or a phrase, or a color, or a brief glimpse of a memory. And you take that thing, that, say, a little piece of this memory, and you start to build upon it. by going deeper into it and asking the right questions and understanding, why is this being presented? Because there's nothing that comes up in a session that isn't meaningful. Everything that comes up in a session has a meaning, and it always ties up nicely in the end, like with a big bow on it, right? Like everything always comes full circle, even though you might not fully understand why you're seeing this thing, or why this memory is popping up right now. And that's okay, because you don't have to understand it. The point is to be in the energy of the subconscious, not to be engaging the analysis, but to give the conscious mind a rest and allow the subconscious to speak. And the more you allow the subconscious to speak, the more everything's going to start to come together and make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your job is not to put it together. If it does click for you, great. But that's why we're there, to really gather the information
Yeah.
and be able to put it together.
And comparing yourself to whether it's other people's sessions or watching Karen work, like Karen's done over thousands of sessions. Like you cannot compare yourself, who's just like on day one, to what Karen's doing. Will you be able to eventually get there? Of course, but it takes work. Like
Okay.
there,
A
people
lot.
just a lot of work. Yeah. People just want it to be easy. They just want to pop in, see everything in HD and be done with it and have this straight connection. It doesn't work that way.
I still have my own struggles.
How so?
Like, I always have jitters before I have to connect, because I don't know if I'll get information. And there's always a worry, like, oh my God, what if this is the one where I can't get information? And it usually ends up being like this huge reading. Usually that's what happens. I'm like, oh, I'm worried about it. We did a session today, and I was having that worry in the beginning because I was only seeing like certain images, but the whole thing just unfolded, and I was like, oh my God, I was not expecting to go there. Like, so I just allow for myself, again, like Tina said, you might just see a word, you might just see a shape, whatever it is. We could work with it. We guarantee we can work with it. You see black, you see nothing, we'll work with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's really important too. And you're not always going to see visually the information. Like you might hear a word or a phrase, or you might sense or feel, or, it's like you're engaging all of your senses.
Yeah, all of it.
Right.
Literally all of it.
Yeah. And so this is really a process. Reconnecting with your divinity is a process. You
Yeah.
can't just start on the first day of kindergarten and expect to be in college like the next day. It doesn't
I
work that
wish.
way. Yeah,
I wish.
that would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The only reason why we're able to do it too is because we've done work on ourselves prior to it. We have to. You want your practitioner, if you're looking for a practitioner, you want your practitioners to have done work on themselves. If your goal, like, I feel like a practitioner can only meet you where they've met themselves.
Yeah.
So, if you go to a practitioner who has no anything about entities, they can't meet you there. If you happen to come up with one, like, or manage to see one, or you see a beautiful angel and then not have the awareness to be like, okay, let's see, is this a real angel or not? For example, they'll just go with it, and then you're playing out with the false light the whole time. So there's a lot of things you need to research and not just impulsively go like, okay, I found somebody, I want to go do it. You got to go around and look around. It's an investment in yourself. And so you want to have a meaningful experience with someone who can hold the space for you to explore yourself in a safe way. That's the most important thing, the safety.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Safety is key. Safety comes first. So you really have to feel safe with the person that you're choosing to go into this space with. Because number one, you meet with this person, whether you're just coming for like a one-off session, right? And you're divulging to them like your life story, and this person's pretty much a stranger to you. And then you're going to explore your consciousness with this person. So this is somebody that you really, really, really have to feel safe with, that that you can trust them with
Yeah.
your consciousness.
Yeah, it's very precious. Your consciousness is very precious and should be treated as such.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's very intimate space
Mhm.
that you're going into.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay with the vulnerability. Even like when I say, like, I don't know if people are ready, like, let's say for even a remote spirit release with us, because it's like we will go in your field and we might show you things that you didn't even know were there or that you didn't think people could see. Like, so again, it's a readiness. Like, usually for us, like, we go pretty deep because, like, again, our goal, like, ultimately, like, we do attract people who are very similar to us and the journeys we've been on. But
Mhm.
our big goal for people is freedom, freedom from, all the enslavement that comes with this place, freedom of your own baggage, healing, learning how to heal things so that you are not held back anymore by your lower parts, by your mental slavery, by life, people triggering you all the time, your experiences, your cycles and recycling and the same patterns over again. We want to free you from that, or at least show you how you can free yourself from it. So people who come to us, our work is not superficial. We really go in there with the goal of that. Like, we all want to have freedom in the end, free will, at least to understand what true free will is, or as close as it can be in this matrix. But that requires work. It requires tons of work. This is not like I said, a superficial exploration. Like, we're gonna go deep in there and go to the nitty gritty.
Yeah. And that can feel really uncomfortable and vulnerable when you first
Yeah,
start. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're pretty rock bottomers. So at that point, people are pretty ready, usually.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You mean people that come to us are like at their rock bottom? Like, I'm done
Yeah.
suffering.
Yeah.
I'm over it. I'm
Yeah.
just
I
want to
want to
be.
learn. I want to be free. I want to learn how to do it. And we tell them, we're like, you can be. We do encourage it. It's not, you can be. You can
Absolutely.
totally. Yes, you can be. You can really take yourself out, and it requires choice and accountability.
Right. And doing the things that you know are good for you, even when you don't feel like it, or even when it feels really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot. Like, most of our life scripts have been really difficult, and there's a lot of trauma. So, in recovery, I mean, it's really in recovering from that, from the trauma, with this newfound awareness that you have, because awareness is everything. It's the remedy to everything, but
Yes.
you kind of also need to know how to navigate that and how to understand the language of that awareness, and what are the messages that it's bringing you, and how do I allow that awareness to lead more so than my lower self.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's the awareness that you need to see that you have been led by a lower self until you decide, okay, I see what's going on. I know my patterns. I have a pattern. I'm in a pattern. And now I would like to drive my life. as the adult self.
Yeah. So, all that said, like we've developed a process for working with people that have a difficult time making that connection, connecting with the higher self,
Yeah.
and helping them to understand that it's a process. It's not going to happen all at once. It's about learning how to how
Yeah.
to connect and make that connection stronger over time.
Yes. Yeah. Our methods are, in point, not because what do you do with the information that you gain? In the end, it's just information. But our goal is so that you can apply that information and integrate the information, let go of the things that no longer serve and integrate what does, so that you can bring that theory and live it in your everyday life.
Yeah.
Because again, you could go in there and I want to find out where I'm from. Okay, you're from Sirius. You still are an accountant. So what are you going to do with that information?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's,
Where our
yes,
practice is more practical.
yeah, like where you want to be the best human you can be and have a, a, a nice experience in living your best life after that. That's what
Quality of
we want.
life.
Quality of life,
Yeah.
as best of a life that you can be moving forward.
Right.
So,
But if you do make that connection with your home and you reconnect with that energy and you realize that that energy of home was always with you, you're never truly separate from that energy. That alone can carry you so far as it did for you.
yes, true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's so much more to it. That's one little tiny piece, a big piece, but a piece of the whole puzzle.
Mhm.
There's so much more to you than just that one piece of information. Yes, it might be like a clincher. I find that's a bonus, like those things are bonus, but there there's just so much.
But it's fun to
It
know
it
those
is
things.
fun to know. Yes, it is fun to know. It is fun to know that you're not crazy. That the love that you've been seeking out, for example, at least in my case, does exist somewhere because I couldn't find it here on earth. I really couldn't. And then I finally was able to experience it in a session. Yes, that was profound. But it was not the definition of the totality of me. It was just, thank you. I appreciate the confirmation that I'm not crazy and that there is that connection. You're connecting to something that really is there. So in a way, it was very tangible for me to feel that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But everybody's puzzle's so different. We can cater to people's needs according to the goals that they want. If you're really sick of suffering, we have the steps and tools you need to take to get there. If you have blockages that you want to go through or breaking through programs, we have the methodology to bring you there for us to be mirrors to you so that you can see yourself. So that when you go out in life, if we're not with you, you'll be able to use other people as mirrors to you. So it's just bringing more conscious awareness into your everyday life and applying it and observing yourself while you're in it and experiencing it.
Yeah, that is the work. Like how consciously aware can you be?
Yes. That's the goal. I mean, we all people go through their own awakening. And, the goal of the awakening is to evolve and to ground that energy and experience into here and not out there.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to have a grounded experience
Mm-hmm.
so that it works out for your everyday life here on earth.
Yeah, that's a really important point because a lot of spiritual practices, which is a whole nother video, but a lot of spiritual practices are pulling people up and out of their bodies. And there's a lot of like escapism, you know? So our practice has always been very much focused around practicality and how to be grounded in reality, how to be grounded in this experience, because this is where you are,
Right.
no matter, what beings you're connecting with, or um, how many psychedelics you do. It's not really going to help you ground into this experience and be the best human you can be. It's just
Right.
a way of escaping and leading you down, luring you into this path where eventually entities are going to take over.
Yeah. We want
So,
you to be comfortable in your own body, which is why we do the somatic work, like the tapping, for example, to teach the body safety so that you can safely be in your body. You can explore do all of that in your body. You don't need to leave your body.
exactly. So, all of what we do is about integrating our higher aspects into our body here and now, integrating those parts. People have this misconception about the higher self. The higher self, I really am trying not to use that word, but it's what people understand. But we have multi-dimensional aspects of ourselves, right? I mean, we have all kinds of selves out there that are living different lives and timelines, and some higher, some lower. And yes, it's about pulling in those aspects of ourselves that are helpful for us in our life now. Um, and understanding that they're not truly separate from us. Like when you're in a session and you're connecting with your higher self, your divine self, your divinity, your intuition, your soul, your spirit, whatever you want to call it, it's you. It's not going to feel like something outside of you is coming and speaking for you or using your body and giving you the answers. It doesn't work like that. This is why I say it's so much more subtle than that.
Hmm.
Your higher self isn't a big, loud, booming voice. It's a subtle, quiet voice that's always there. And it's about learning how to decipher and tune into that voice and listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's such a misconception about what it's supposed to feel like when you connect with your higher self. Like it's supposed to be just this, like, I don't know, explosion or something like people are expecting, but it's not. It feels like you,
Right.
because it is you.
Yeah. We're programmed not to be important or a higher self. Like we're just us and we have no self-esteem or no self-confidence. And therefore, we're not going. If I give you information with my eyes open, then it's not valid than if I were to close my eyes and tell you what my higher self is saying. Like, just think about that for a second.
Or you speak in some weird accent and, like,
Right. I mean, again, it's like what you see. I I don't resonate with any of those things. Like I find it such fooey, but whatever. Like I'm it just my body just rejects it. So I can't deny what my body is rejecting when I see things like that because I just don't feel the authenticity of it.
yeah.
That's what it is. Your authenticity is just you being you with your perfectly great accent, whatever that is, and speaking from the heart, really tuning in and listening to that part of yourself that knows everything. And if you don't have the confidence or know everything yet, then we have to be able to sift through that so that you can start to trust that voice or know what that voice sounds like.
Mhm.
Because usually the voice it's the one that when you're about to make a decision or you make a decision, you go through your experience, the experience sucks, and you said, fuck, I should have done, I knew it.
I
I
knew
should
it.
have done whatever, blah, 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 dot, dot, dot. I should have listened to myself when I said to do blah, blah, blah. That's the voice, the one that told you to do it and the one that you didn't listen to.
Yeah, that's the voice.
That's the
Yeah,
voice.
and people get confused because they'll say, well, it sounds like me.
It is you.
Yeah,
It's
it's
you.
you.
It's you. It's not
It's
anything
you.
outside. I hope it's not anything outside of you, because then that's an entity.
Right. And that's where we're trying to move away from the more common practices, and into this more grounded practice of realizing that everything comes from within you. You don't
Yes.
need an angel or an ascended master or Jesus or anything, any being outside of you to give you the answers. You already know deep within you what the answers are. And if you have a session and the answers feel familiar to you and you feel like you already know those answers, it's because you do. That's how simple it is. It's really that simple.
Yeah. Right. I feel like it's like people think it's a waste to ask a question that I already know the answer to. Like, what fun is that? But you know,
Yeah,
you know deep down what it is, what is right for you, what it feels in alignment with you.
right. Exactly. And our goal with clients is to help you get to that place where you're really trusting that and
Yeah.
in alignment with that and allowing that part of you to lead more so than not.
Yeah. And what do you usually say to clients when they like what the higher self voice is? It's going to be loving.
Yeah.
It's
Loving
going
and
to be supportive.
supportive and loving.
It's not going to make you self-betray. It's not going to make you do some whacked out shit. Like,
We've had some wild stuff. Like, here's a fun one.
oh,
So,
I know what you're saying. I heard
wait,
it.
I don't remember this story fully. Wait, she was, I'm gonna have to email her and see
Driving
how she was doing. Yeah, she was being told to drive without her glasses so that she could trust. She was being told to trust in her guides and her higher self. So don't drive with your glasses because we got you.
and don't
And
drive
don't
with
get
gas.
gas. Don't get gas either. Yeah,
That's not loving. That's dangerous. Very dangerous.
right. So if
Like, you
you're
got to think about that. Like, how does that work in reality? Does that sound and grounded and rational? No, absolutely not.
right. And if it's not sound and grounded and rational, then it's not good advice, whether it's coming from your neighbor or some being that calls itself an angel. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah. Even if they're 12th dimensional Turian, I'd be like, hell no, you drive then. You drive then without your glasses and no gas. You tell me how that goes for you, Octurian.
Well, right. And this is where we're getting away from giving our power away to these other entities to dictate what is right for our own lives. Who are they to tell us what's right for our own lives?
Right.
We know deep down what's right for us. We have multi-dimensional aspects of ourselves that can lend us wisdom. We don't
Yes.
need to look to these other beings or these, collectives or whatever they are. And I'm not saying channeling is a no-go. I'm saying use your discernment. And
Above
if
all else.
above all else, and if the information is not able to be grounded in reality, then what good is that information really doing for your life? Is it
Right.
useful? Is it practical? Is it helping you in your everyday life? Or is
Right.
it just fluff, you know?
Right. Right. So, like, if you have an ailment, you're really sick, and they say, don't worry, the event's coming and you'll get your med bed tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and it's like, oh, 2 weeks. Wait, 2 weeks. So don't go to the doctor. 2 weeks. The med bed is coming in 2 weeks. Don't worry about your cancer. 2 weeks comes, nothing. Oh, we moved. The date moved. 1 more month. For sure, 1 more month. Does that sound supportive or good or safe?
Right.
Like we have to use our heads a little bit, bring it in and be like, no, I'll make a choice. I'll use my free will, or at least the free will that I have at this moment, and be like, I'll go get checked, and then if you can save me while I'm mid treatment or something, then great. I'll take it. But until then, I'm going to put myself first and serve myself first with the resources that we have in this now moment.
Right. So what a lot of the channelings do is there's a future, it's called future faking. So it constantly has your eye on the future for some prize, chasing this carrot that never gets here because they keep moving it back
Yeah, the garden keeps moving.
and back and back and back and back. And you're just going to keep chasing and keep chasing and keep chasing until you see through that program. Because that's some entities that are looshing off of your energy, chasing this thing. Meanwhile, your life is falling apart because you're waiting for the event, and which is going to
Yeah.
change everything and take you to 5D.
Yeah. It takes you away from your own self. You're walking away from yourself, expecting something to happen outside of you when you need to take action within yourself, so that you don't need an event to fulfill you or to make you more spiritual, or I deserve to be there, blah, blah, blah. No, you deserve to be here where you are right now, and you work with what you got, and you build your life around that from the inside out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really about how authentic and how real can you be to your truest self, not the false self that has been layered on top of your true self, but underneath all those layers, how authentic can you be? How
Yeah.
real can you be? Yeah. And when you start to connect with that energy, that is your divine self.
Yeah.
And you integrate that energy and it just becomes who you are. And you're
Yeah.
leading with that self all the time,
Mm-hmm.
not just in a session, but all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. It becomes an individual journey and not a collective journey. And you're
Yeah.
not there like really to save anybody but yourself. And no one can save you.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's just, again, an encouragement for those that are on the path and looking for modalities, or, if you're sick of suffering, if you really want to connect with yourself, if you want to have a quality of life, and to clear out a couple of things so that you're not suffering anymore, we can definitely help you and walk you through that. All we require from you is openness, the readiness, accountability, and to, yeah, just allow for yourself to get out of your own way.
Yeah. And meet us halfway, because we're not doing the work for you. We're not doing the work. We're guiding you on how to do the work, on how to connect with yourself. If you want someone that's going to give you all the answers and do all the work for you, then we're not your people. Not your people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, people that have, we've had a lot of success with people that, can't connect or can't be hypnotized, those kinds of things. So yeah, it's just about learning the language, learning and clearing the things that are in the way, clearing the things that are in the way, and learning the language of your divine self, of your divinity, of your spirit, and
Yeah.
trusting, learning how to trust in it. Yeah.
Great. Well, I think that was a great conversation. Thank you so much, Tina, for joining me today on today's talk of I Cannot Be Hypnotized.
So
For those,
happy to be here.
yes, I'm really happy you're here. And for those of you who are interested, please, you can email us at quantumhealingwithtina, TENA at gmail.com. You could look at our website of the same name, quantumhealingwithtina.com. And we're here whenever you're ready to explore the deepest depths of your consciousness. We are the investigators, and we will be with you every step of the way. No questions asked. So as long as you're ready and willing, so are we. We'll be there with you.
Well
So
said.
thank you. It was really great to connect with all of you again tonight. And we hope to see you again on the next episode. Take care. Peace.
Bye, guys.